Hey, what's up guys? Today we'll cover some more of what I found to be some of the most twisted fates in horror movies. These aren't necessarily violent deaths or brutal attacks, but more so twisted on a psychological level. A Quiet Place is an occasionally nerve-wracking horror film that turns silence into a survival tool. It's set in a world where making a sound could mean a gruesome death by alien creatures that hunt by hearing. The Abbott family, led by Lee and Evelyn, tiptoe throughout their life in a desolate world, communicating through sign language and avoiding anything that could make a sound. Their daily life is a meticulous dance with silence, from playing board games with soft, felt pieces to fishing with bare hands. Every action is calculated to avoid noise, and as if their situation isn't precarious enough, the stakes are raised exponentially with Evelyn's pregnancy. The impending arrival of a baby with its uncontrollable crying presents a dangerous paradox: how to welcome a noisy life into a world where noise means death. Why would you even have a baby at this point? Did the store run out of condoms? Then comes the film's most nail-biting scene, quite literally. While alone in the house, Evelyn, now in the advanced stages of labor, steps on an upturned nail. The pain is palpable, and even though this would make anyone scream louder than my ex-girlfriend at an Olivia Rodrigo concert, she can't make a sound because it would mean death, with the creatures always listening. It's a moment of insane tension, blending the physical agony of the injury with the psychological torment of suppressing fear and not being allowed to react how you would normally react. Evelyn's predicament epitomizes the film's central theme: the length to which parents will go to protect their children and how far we might go the torture will endure if it means survival. Her silent scream as she forces herself not to make a sound despite the giant amount of pain is a powerful moment that symbolizes the entire film's premise. I've seen a lot of messed up movies, but watching Evelyn trying to hold it together, man, it almost made me cry. This fucking chair. The fact that she's basically completely alone and eventually needs to pull out her foot from the protruding nail makes it so much worse. Furthermore, this scene serves as a turning point in the movie, elevating the stakes and the emotional intensity. It underscores the movie's ability to use silence not just as a gimmick, but as an emotional tool. The film's innovative use of sound design, or the lack thereof, plays a crucial role in immersing the audience in the character's silent world, making every footstep, whisper, and every silence laden with potential catastrophe. Here, the horror is not just the creature lurking in the shadows, but the accidents that are just around the corner that become potentially lethal in this new world. The challenge of staying silent through the pain of childbirth and later protecting a newborn from these sound-sensitive predators elevates the film's tension to almost unbearable levels. Lake Mungo is an Australian psychological horror film that blends mockumentary and supernatural elements to explore themes of grief, loss, and one of the most psychologically twisted events I've ever seen. The film tells the story of the Palmer family as they grapple with the drowning death of their daughter, Alice. As they delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding the death, they uncover a series of unsettling secrets and possibly supernatural occurrences that suggest Alice may have been haunted by her own premonition of death. The narrative unfolds through a series of interviews, home videos, and news footage, creating an atmosphere of eerie realism. The Palmers discover that Alice led a complex life filled with secrets, at the center of which lies a mysterious trip to Lake Mungo. It's at this dumb lake where the film's most haunting and pivotal scene occurs. In this chilling moment, the family discovers a phone video taken by Alice during her secret trip to the lake. The footage reveals Alice terrified and disoriented. We can hear it in her breathing. Then she sees something in the distance. Slowly we can tell that it's a someone. Finally, in the greatest non-jump scare that I've ever seen, she sees what appears to be her own corpse in the water. This moment is profoundly disturbing, not only for its shocking visual impact, but for its deeper implications. Alice's sighting of her dead self blurs the lines between the past, present, and future, suggesting that she was somehow aware of her own impending death. This eerie premonition and the subsequent realization of her fate creates a profound sense of dread and inevitability. The scene is emblematic of the film's exploration of the bizarre and the uncanny. It taps into the fear of the unknown and the unsettling idea that we may be powerless to escape our destinies. The use of cell phone video adds a layer of authenticity and horror to the encounter since we can't exactly see what's going on, making it all the more horrifying. This moment in Lake Mungo stands out as one of the most twisted fates in horror movies for me for several reasons. Firstly, it confronts us with the disturbing notion of witnessing one's own death, a concept that is both surreal and deeply unsettling. Secondly, the scene's presentation through grainy cell phone footage lends it a visceral realism that amplifies the horror. I mean, it just looks shitty, but I think it's so smart. The disturbing aspect of the footage lies in its surreal and uncanny nature with a visual paradox that defies our logical explanation. The idea of one's own dead self suggests a breach in the natural order, a glimpse beyond our understanding of reality, which is like our sense of home, you know? It does nothing but raise countless haunting questions about identity and the possibility of an afterlife while highlighting the theme of the desire of closure, by, leaving no chance for the family ever getting any. The scene encapsulates all the film's themes of grief and loss, psychological torment, and everything else in one haunting image. Now imagine living in a world shrouded in fog, where the line between the living and the dead blurs more and more, and the truth is more terrifying than any ghost story. The Others is a surprisingly chilling horror film with some incredibly memorable imagery that masterfully intertwines suspense, atmosphere, and a jaw-dropping twist that kind of redefined the haunted house genre a little bit. Set in 1945 on the secluded Isle of Jersey, the film follows Grace Stewart and her two children, Anne and Nicholas, who suffer from a rare photosensitivity disorder, forcing them to live in a darkened old mansion. Grace runs a tight ship with strict rules and an obsession with keeping curtains drawn to protect her children from sunlight. Their isolated existence is disrupted by the arrival of three new servants who quickly become entangled in the family's strange and strict household routines. The tension in the Stewart household escalates as inexplicable occurrences begin to unfold. Anne claims to see ghosts, insisting that they are sharing their home with unseen others. Grace, a devout Catholic, refuses to believe her daughter's stories, attributing them to a wild imagination. However, as the events become harder to dismiss, Grace's skepticism turns into fear, leading her to question her sanity and the nature of the reality they are living in. The eerie atmosphere of the film is amplified by its minimalistic approach to horror, relying on sound, light, and a lot of shadows to build suspense rather than graphic visuals or jump scares, which works especially well with this kind of story, making the tension draw out through the entire film. The mansion, with its endless corridors and hidden rooms, becomes a character in its own right, visualizing the film's isolation and the strange looming presence of the supernatural in this inescapable maze. The climax of The Others delivers one of the most unexpected and twisted endings I've ever seen. I mean, it's a twist ending and a twisted ending. The big reveal is that Grace and her children are the actual ghosts haunting the mansion. The realization dawns on Grace after a series of supernatural encounters, culminating in the discovery that she had killed her children and herself in a moment of madness, unable to cope with the news of her husband's death in the war. This twist not only shocks the audience, but also recontextualizes the entire narrative, flipping the perspective from the haunted to the haunters. This revelation is amazing, I think, and I think back when it came out, it really challenged the traditional crappy ghost story narrative by presenting the story from the perspective of the ghosts, unbeknownst to themselves. The audience's empathy for Grace and her children grows throughout the film, making the revelation of their true nature both tragic and horrifying. It's a twist that prompts viewers to question the nature of reality and the afterlife, exploring themes of grief, denial, and the eternal quest for redemption. The ending of The Others, to me, is one of the most twisted fates in horror movies due to its profound emotional impact and the way it subverts expectations. The realization that you're stuck in a limbo of your own making, unable to move on from the tragic events that led to your demise, adds a layer of tragedy to the horror and makes it like an inescapable darkness. Now, I've technically already covered this movie, but when I did, almost everyone said that I covered the wrong scenes, which I didn't think was the case, but I'll include it here because it does fit in with the lineup of scenes in this video. A Cure for Wellness is a very visually stunning and, through that, a deeply unsettling psychological horror film. The movie weaves a complex narrative that delves into themes of obsession, purity, and the quest for eternal life in a society plagued by mental and physical sickness. Set against the backdrop of a mysterious wellness center in the Swiss Alps, the story follows Lockhart, sent to retrieve his company's CEO, Pembroke, who has taken up residence at the center under the care of the enigmatic Dr. Heinrich Vollmer. The narrative is rich with gothic elements, which I love, blending the beauty of its luxurious setting with a creepy sense of decay. One of the most disturbing scenes involves Lockhart undergoing a force-feeding treatment.
The empty altar of his own ambition.
Lockhart is fed a concoction of eels while locked in an iron lung. This scene is emblematic of the movie's exploration of the themes of control, bodily autonomy, and the violation of people in the name of a cure for wellness. The force-feeding, a twisted inversion of nourishment, becomes a powerful visual scene for the wellness center's corrupting influence, where the pursuit of health transforms into torture.